Hey, what's up guys? I'm Ryan from AmericanTrucks, and today I'm here with the RedRock 4x4 Tubular off-road front bumper fitting your 2015 to 2017 F150 excluding the Raptor. This is for the F150 owner that is looking for an aggressive tubular front bumper for that trophy truck look and improved ground clearance. This is a great upgrade over the stock front bumper as it is much stronger and much more appealing. This bumper will add a ton of strength and protection to the front end, and the improved ground clearance is going to add versatility to your rig, allowing you to conquer those tough trails. The black powder coating is going to add an aggressive styling, and the LED light bar is going to make a huge difference in low light visibility, even on the darkest trails. Now this comes as a complete kit and is a very easy install since there's no drilling or cutting required. This is going to be one of your most affordable options of its kind on the site, and it even has a 5-star rating from customer reviews. At around $650 for an off-roading front bumper, especially when compared to other options that can cost up to 3 times as much, I think this is a great deal for what you're getting. As far as install goes, I am going to give this a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter since you can install this in about 2 hours using basic hand tools. Now with that being said, let's hop into the install. We're going to begin this installation by removing our factory bumper. I'm going to start on the back side so we can disconnect our fog lights and remove the nuts. So we're going to begin by disconnecting our fog lights. We're going to go ahead and pull back on these black tabs, and this is going to allow us to unplug our lights. After you unplug the lights, you're going to want to free it up from the bumper by pulling this harness and getting these little clips off. We're going to do the same thing for the other side, pulling back on these black locking tabs and disconnecting our fog light. Once again, you're going to want to free the harness up from the bumper and remove any spots that's attached by some push pins. So on the back side of each frame rail on the outside, you're going to have one stud sticking through with a 21mm nut. We're going to go ahead and take that off. And then you're going to do the same thing for the other side. So next we're going to need to remove this front panel. You can do that by using a trim panel removal tool, and this just sticks in with a bunch of metal clips. So we're going to pop that out. So once you have that panel off, we can access the 4 nuts underneath. We're going to use that same 21mm socket to remove all those, and then we can pull the bumper off. And right before you get that last one off, you're going to want to put a hand on the bumper or get someone to help you out because this bumper is going to come off. After that, you can pull your bumper off. So next we're going to install our light bar. You have 2 90-degree brackets that we're going to bolt to this rail using the provided hardware. We're going to start with both ends, and then we'll slide this light bar in from the front and get that bolted in. So we're going to place these brackets in here. They're going to face outward. We're going to use a bolt with a flat washer on there. And we're going to go through the bracket and then through these rails. On the other side, we're going to do a flat washer, a lock washer, and the provided nut. So we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Placing a bolt with a washer down through the bracket and then into that welded rail. Then you're going to get a flat washer, lock washer, and a nut. So we're going to tilt this bumper up since we need to fit the light bar in through the front of the bumper. And once we get it in place, we can lower it back down and get it attached to our brackets. So to bolt the brackets to the light bar, we're going to use a bolt with a lock washer and a flat washer. It's going to go through the bracket into the end of our light bar. So we're going to do the same thing for the other side, using a bolt with a lock washer and a flat washer on there. You're going to do the same thing for the other side. So last thing before we get our bumper installed, since we're reusing the factory hardware, you're going to need to remove the bolts out of the frame and the bumper. Now you're going to have a double bolt up top on the frame, and you're going to have a single bolt in the back of the bumper. These are really easy to remove, and they're just held in by these plastic washers. You can push them right out, and then we're going to swap them into the new bumper. Now RedRock provides you with plenty of these new plastic washers to install these, and these are just going to install from the back side. We're going to put these on so they're capture them in place so I get this bumper on. So we're going to start with this top section. It's going to go in the double spot, and then we're just going to push these down over top, and that's going to hold that in place. Going to do the same thing for the other side. So with our stock bumper completely uninstalled and our new RedRock bumper fully assembled, we're just about ready to install it on our F-150. However, I want to take a second to go over some of the features and benefits of an aftermarket bumper such as this compared to our stock. Now the stock is made of steel, however it's not very thick steel and it's not very durable. Not only that, but it is bulky in design. If you're looking for something that is a little stronger and is going to provide more clearance, you're going to want to go with an aftermarket bumper such as this. This bumper is going to add full protection to the front end, and not only that, it's going to provide more ground clearance, and it's tapered on the ends, which is going to give you better approach angles for when you're trying to drive your wheel up on those obstacles on the trail. Now this is made of heavy-duty steel plating and mandrel bent tubing, so it's going to add a ton of strength to the front end, and it's going to be much stronger than the stock. It has a black powder coating on it, which is going to add to the corrosion resistance, and also it's going to give you an aggressive look. Now we are getting rid of our factory fog lights, however we're adding a 30-inch light bar. This light bar uses 5-watt Cree LEDs, which produce an intense 6000K light, which is pretty close to white. The whole housing is made of sturdy aluminum and has a polycarbonate lens, so it's going to handle any of that trail debris, and the whole thing is sealed up watertight with an IP rating of 67. So at this point in time, we're ready to install our front bumper. Since we are reusing that factory hardware, you're going to want to lay that out and be ready to install that. I'm going to get a friend to help me lift this bumper off, and then we'll get it installed. So once you have the bumper on, you're going to reinstall your factory hardware. You're going to have 3 studs per side. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So once you have all of your hardware installed, you're going to go around and tighten everything up with a 21mm socket. Now since there is a ton of adjustability side to side and up and down, you want to adjust the bumper as best as possible, and if you have to readjust it, you can always do so. We're going to push our bumper up in the air a little bit to get it to fit closer to the body. So we still have to wire up our light bar, so we're going to go ahead and pop our hood and get the harness set by the battery, and then we'll feed our harness down. So we do have to wire this to the battery, and we have to mount our relay in a good location. However, first thing we're going to do is run this extension down to our light bar. Now we want to route this in an area where there's not going to be any sharp, hot objects, any moving parts. So I'm actually going to run it down around here and then in between the headlight and the grille. All right, so we're going to run this light bar harness up and over the frame rail just to keep it out of the way. And then we're going to take this and plug it in. After we plug it in, you're going to want to pull the excess back up through and then zip tie all this loose stuff so it doesn't get caught on anything. So we've pulled our excess up and we've zip tied that. We're probably going to keep it right down in this little area. Now you are limited where you can mount the relay due to the length of these wires. So I actually found a nice 8mm bolt right here that is for a ground strap. So we're going to remove that and mount our relay there. So we're going to pull that bolt out and install the relay on there and then just reinstall that bolt. Now that we have the relay mounted, we're going to connect these 2 terminals. Now the black lead is going to go to the negative side of your battery, and of course the red lead is going to go to the positive side. We're going to use an 11mm socket on our positive terminal and remove this nut, and we'll install our positive lead. Now you don't want to remove this nut. This is actually the one that tightens the terminal down to the battery. We want to leave that one alone. They have an auxiliary stud here that you can mount additional wiring and such too, so we're going to use that. Once we get that on, we're going to switch back from an 11 to a 10mm, and we're going to do our negative side. Same thing, we're not going to touch this one that adjusts the terminal onto the battery. We're going to use this auxiliary stud. And we'll tighten that back up, and then we can run our switch into our cab. So we ran our switch across the engine bay and we're ready to run it through the firewall. Now there is a wiring harness that goes down through the firewall and through a big rubber grommet. You can actually push that out or cut a hole and run the switch right inside. So we're going to do that, and then we'll mount our switch to the dash. So once you get the switch inside, we're going to go ahead and pull some excess out, and then we can run it up the side of our dash, and you can mount this wherever you would like. I'm just going to tuck it into the dash right here. And then we can run it across here and then just tape our switch right there. So to mount your switch, you're just gonna peel this backing off and then you can stick that right on there. So once you get all of your wiring done, you're gonna wanna zip tie all that excess. However, that wraps up my review and install. For more videos like this, check us out at AmericanTrucks.com.